feedback, recasts, and negative evidence regarding the first language acquisition. It has been a common trend and a logical one also that whenever the researchers want to study the second language acquisition, they try to figure out what is it in the process of the learning of the first language that has been so successful for the children that they seem to learn it almost effortlessly. One area that has been studied in this regard is that of feedback, recasts, and negative evidence. So, feedback, recasts, and negative evidence are basically one main thing. Although so these are actually different types of feedback. The question is whether or if you are correcting a sentence clearly, telling the child not to speak this way but to speak that way, or are you simply saying what the child has said in the correct form? That will be a recast, and both of them together will be a provision of what we call a negative evidence, to let the child know that however or whatever form he or she has been using is incorrect. So there has been a lot of discussion regarding the significance of feedback directly and recast, that is feedback indirectly. It has been said to facilitate communication between the children, native and non-native, and children and adults. And it has also been said to develop the interlanguage of the children, that is the language process while they are trying to achieve target-like structures. So negative evidence in first language, the main debate has been that the language actually is simply not learnable from the positive evidence that the learners have. So if we don't correct the children in how they use a language while they are learning their first language, they might not be able to learn their first language. So this has been a question. While some say it is still learnable, the others would say it is not learnable. So if we say, or if we try to resolve this issue, the question is, to what extent is indirect evidence available to the learners? And B, how does it help the learners to, again, A, notice the difference, to see the difference between the right form of language and their own error, and then B, of course, how to use it. How much does it encourage the child to use the corrected utterance or sentence themselves? So there have been several studies on it, and especially on negotiation. When we say negotiation, it doesn't mean that an argument is taking place between the children and the adults. Rather, by negotiation, we mean when the both of them are actually trying to confirm, try to clarify each other's meaning, and try to come to a mutual understanding about something. So research says that negative evidence in recast, that is when you correct the sentence of the child indirectly by saying it again, is definitely present in child-directed speech. That is when adults are speaking to a child. And it also is said that it allows the child to actually correct his or her language by revisiting whatever rule the child might have formulated in his or her mind regarding how does the language actually work. This is what we mean by hypothesis over here. So, research says that recasts, when you say a sentence correctly, the children do repeat it. So, they are taken up by children and they It helps them to improve their language. So studies have indicated that in between children, the 60% of the feedback given to the child in negotiation is recasts, and there's a lot of recast going on between native and non-native children. However, if the study is repeated with adults, they have found that the percentage varies with adults depending on the context within which the research is being conducted. So, what about recasts for grammatical development? If a child is speaking incorrect grammar, how would my recasting or saying the whole sentence in the right grammar will help the child? Well, in the first language acquisition, it is realized that this is regularly available to children when the adults are speaking to them, that is, in child-directed speech. It exists in usable form, so it is said in a way that the child can simply repeat it and learn it. And then there is evidence that children actually do pick it up and repeat the correct form of language. The question that is negative evidence actually pivotal for learning the core aspects of language is, however, still less clear because there is more research needed to decide on that point.